If you're thinking about moving to Metro Detroit, you're definitely going to want to scope out Berkley, Michigan. And if you don't already know, Berkley, Michigan is on the north side of Detroit. It's one of the Detroit suburbs and is frequently in the running for one of the top places to live, not just in Michigan, but in the entire US. Today, we are downtown Berkley. We're going to walk through some shops. We're going to see some real estate. We're going to talk about all the pros and cons of living in or moving to Berkley, Michigan. And if you haven't, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now so you don't forget, because we put out great content each and every week about Metro Detroit, what's going on, new restaurants, new things, new happenings, and of course, the cities themselves. My name is Mike Perna, local real estate agent, and I'd be honored to get the call to help you find your next home or sell your current one here in Metro Detroit. All right, let's go. Okay, so I've got to say that Berkley over the last couple of years, over the last couple of decades, has changed, and some good ways, some not so good ways, but also there are a lot of things through the years and the decades that have remained the same that other communities have adopted. I'm going to dive into a couple of those because some people will find that Berkley is the perfect community, and some people will look at the things that have changed or have not changed and say, nope, this one is not for me. I might want to explore Royal Oak or Ferndale or Oak Park or Birmingham or Bloomfield instead. So let's dive into a couple of the changes that have occurred and a couple of things that probably do need to change still. Okay, so Berkley is a small community. It is literally 2.62 square miles and it is one of the smallest communities on the Woodward corridor, which is kind of the home of all the small communities here in Metro Detroit, which includes Ferndale and Royal Oak and Madison Heights and Hazel Park and Birmingham and Bloomfield and all of those guys, right? All right, so talking about the geography and placement of Berkley, Michigan, on the south side is bordered by 11 Mile here. On the west side is bordered by Greenfield Road here. On the north side is bordered by Webster Road, which is here. And then between Webster and 14 Mile, there's actually a small sliver of Royal Oak. A lot of people don't know that separates Berkley from Birmingham. And on the east side, it's framed by Woodward or M1 here, which is the same road that you have the Woodward Dream Cruise nationally recognized each and every year. Diving into a little bit of the history of Berkley, it started years and years ago in the early 1900s, primarily as dairy farms until the boom during and after World War II. Then Berkley became a very popular town because of its proximity at the time to Ford's Highland Park plant, where they mastered making the Model T from start to finish in only 93 minutes. They literally built an entire car from zero to drivable in 93 minutes. Also, that plant built the Sherman tanks that were used in World War II against the Nazis. So tucked back off almost all of the main roads in Berkley, there are literally parks upon parks upon parks. There are 9 parks totaling 45 total acres, including this one here. So this is the newly renovated Merchants Park or Oxford Park because it's between Oxford on the north side and Cambridge on the south, just east of Bacon. They have a 1,500 square foot splash pad, which is awesome by the way, and they've got two different baseball diamonds recently installed. All right, let's talk amenities. So most communities in Metro Detroit are actually very spread out without a central focus like a downtown, and even cities that have a central focus like a downtown, such as like Royal Oak or Ferndale or Oak Park, also have low walkability scores. But Berkley comes out on top in this category in a couple of different ways. According to walkscore.com, Berkley's walkability is very high at 84.6%. It's actually one of the highest in all of Southeast Michigan in the 5-county area. In fact, over 80% of all homes in Berkley are within a half a mile of the downtown or the center or the heart of Berkley. So comparing that to the other cities along the Woodward corridor, I've got Royal Oak just to the east with a walkability score of 57. Ferndale's a bit higher, up at 67. Birmingham nosedives back down to 60. And the unique thing about Berkley is it's more square shaped than it is rectangle shaped, putting more homes closer to the epicenter of the downtown area. And then further, one of the things that I would put in the pro category for Berkley is it is like going back in time. It's like Back to the Future, like the movie, going to Hill Valley, Marty McFly style, like seeing that old timey where all the neighbors know each other's names. They all get out and go downtown. You see kids playing out in the front yards as well as the backyards. And coupled with the downtown is a good reason why Berkley routinely makes Money's top 50 places to live in the US list. So here's a con that the city could improve on but has not taken action towards yet. The bike score for Berkley is actually way low at 54. This is not a huge biking community, whereas Royal Oak have added a ton of bike lanes. Ferndale has its share of bike lanes and bikeable streets. Berkley's been a little slow on the uptake for people like me that bike heavily during the warm months. Speaking of it is that time of year. I've got my Trek out, I've taken it to the shop, I've gotten the tune-up, and I am ready for the riding season. And then of course, one of the further pros that Berkley has that Royal Oak and Ferndale and Birmingham do not have is free parking. Berkley is one of the last cities left where you can park for free. There are no meters, park as long as you want. I mean, you can't like abandon a car for a week, but you can park like literally as long as you want. Leave it overnight if you need to, if you need to Uber home, if you're at one of the local establishments. Now versus Royal Oak, where when my office was downtown Royal Oak on the corner of Washington and 5th, I pretty much paid for the entire new courthouse myself through the parking tickets. That said, I've heard from clients that Berkley is a little slow as a city on the uptake to move on new things, rewind to the bike lanes, but slow and methodical is not always a bad thing. New parking tech was quickly adopted by Royal Oak, where people now have to back into the spots, and it has negatively affected all of the businesses on Washington. Also, you can't just go out and extend your time. You actually have to move your car every 90 minutes because that's all you get in those parking spots. And so you've got people like my parents who used to get out and love to eat in downtown Royal Oak at places like Lily's or Cafe Muse, but also my mom can't walk far, so now they avoid it and they only go when absolutely necessary, not when they want to. So we talked about Berkley being like the land before time, right? Like walking back in time to the 40s or the 50s or the 30s or even the roaring 20s. But I also don't want to mistake Berkley as like a city just full of introverts. Just because it's a sleepy town, actually it's quite the opposite. So it's all extroverts here, guys. There are 12 major activities that the city sponsors each and every year, and a lot of minor ones that go on yearly. So I've linked below to the calendar events that Berkley puts on every year, and they've got some cool stuff. But here are a couple of the high points that Berkley puts on through the year. First one being the Berkley Art Bash, which draws over 12,000 people every year, turning 12 Mile Road into a literal walking art gallery and a street party. Berkley Day, celebrating the city's founding, has been going on for over 90 years. Cruise Fest is a mini Woodward Dream Cruise kind of spin-off. Also, Berkley does movies in the park over the summer, which is free. They do live music in the summer with Berkley Beats, and there's pretty much always something going on every weekend here in Berkley. Okay, so one of my favorite things about Berkley is the diversity of home styles. So there are all types, not just cookie cutter homes where you're gonna find it in the prototypical suburbia neighborhood. Blah. These are going to be all different types of homes. You're going to find some branches like this. You're going to find bungalows. You're going to find some colonials, and you'll see a lot of homes with those broad front porches that I personally love and adore. And there is a lot of residential construction going on in Berkley right now, but that also does not mean that Berkley has lost touch with its roots. So in 2008, there was a city ordinance put in place saying that to do an attached garage, you've got to have at least 50 feet of frontage. No more than 50% or less than 50% of the front of the house can be a garage. So you're not just like aesthetically staring at garages going down the street versus the beautiful homes that there have been in Berkley or Berkley's been known for. So this kind of a thing they've allowed to happen in Birmingham. And so now you're seeing homes like this happen where you're effectively just looking at a garage. Which another result of that is you've got a lot of new homes going in that have detached garages. So you've got some expensive $500,000 to $750,000 homes, but you're probably going to get a detached garage on a lot of those new builds. So a lot of those homes are going to be charming in the front, but with the parking in the back. And at the time, the builders fought this, looking for variances and overturning the ordinance, but the city prevailed. And as you can see, homes like this one, where the garage is way in the back and a very nice looking home in the front on the street. In fact, one of my favorite homes in Berkley that just sold is 1895 Columbia. Let's go scope this thing out. And there it is, 1895 Columbia. I love this home straight from the start when the builders started building it, right from the broad front porch to the wainscoting on the main level, the built-ins in the family room, the nice open kitchen with the waterfall island, the huge walk-in closet, the stamped concrete in the back. This is something you'd normally see more of in a Birmingham, but it's Berkley, and it's cute. And the best part is, it is literally half the price of what you would find in Birmingham. At 2320 square feet, it sold for $720,000, about $310 per square foot, versus the 1.1 to 1.3 that this would fetch just 2 miles north of here. And talking more about the real estate here in Berkley, Michigan, you've got condos like these, Harvard Commons, built in 2017 for about $400,000, running about 2,000 square feet right now with 2-car attached garages. This one over at 2683 Harvard, which just sold for $385,000. Then you've got starter homes from $250,000 to $350,000, like this one over at 3859 Cummings Avenue that sold at $275,000. It was 1,100 square feet, really nicely updated, 2-car garage. This one over at 2156 Cambridge, super cute, sold for $311,000, really well done on the inside. And take a look at that kitchen and the upstairs. And scrolling through the photos, you could tell somebody put a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of love into this home. Going deep into the $300,000 range up to the $500,000 range, what you're going to find here in Berkley is that the square footage itself does not necessarily increase a ton, but the quality of the addition or renovations or construction does. So check out this one over at 3257 Oakshire that sold for $370,000. They did a great job with extending this kitchen, broadening out the upstairs into a real master suite. And then you see newer complete renovations like this one over at 1209 Cambridge. It was built in 1927 originally, but was rebuilt almost completely from the the ground up. It's now 1524 square feet with the front porch, which is amazing. The kitchen with the quartz and the backsplash is top notch. The addition on the back gave them the ability to extend out the master to bring the outside inside, and this one sold for $460K. And of course, I've got to mention 2119 Columbia, which was really well done, really super cute. You're gonna have to check the link below because this is actually one of our own listings. There's a seller that had hired us and we got multiple offers within 48 hours. It was amazing. Scope this guy out. One of the questions I get asked all the time is about the public school and private school systems that we have in and around Berkley, Michigan. Like, what are the options? What are they like? How are they ranked? All of those things. So on the public side, you've got Berkley building blocks for kids as young as 6 weeks old. Not even kidding, 6 weeks old. You can start your kids out on that learning trajectory, going up to 5 years old. And then you have elementary schools here in Berkley, Michigan, all of them rated an A or an A- by niche.com. There's one primary middle school, and then of course you've got Berkley High School, which has an A rating ranked by niche.com and is the 33rd best high school in Michigan out of 1,701 total high schools. For private school nearby, there are a ton. You've got Shrine at the Little Flower, or just known as Shrine, which is pre-K all the way through high school. I had friends go here, they loved it, and that will be the closest option. You've got Bishop Foley, which is over here in Madison Heights, and that goes 9th to 12th grade, which is about a 15-minute commute from Berkley. You've got Brother Rice High School and Marion High School, brother and sister high schools sharing a campus, about a 20-minute drive from Berkley. And then you've got UD Jesuit, which is where I went. Go Cubs! Over on 7 and Roselawn, and I loved it there. It was a 10 out of 10 as far as my experience was concerned. Okay, if they're shooting outside all morning in Berkley, I had to stop in for a coffee at my favorite place in Berkley, which is Coffee and Bark. They do some really cool events around coffee, of course, and bark, which is dogs. June 10th is their next event. We're gonna link below to their calendar, so if you missed the June 10th, there are plenty of things going on over here. Gotta check it out. And then closing out the school section here in Berkley, there are 3 schools I definitely gotta mention. They are the 3 top rated schools in the entire state of Michigan, but they're also the 3 most expensive schools in the entire state of Michigan. All 3 also go K to 12, and I'm gonna list them out from closest to furthest. The first one is Roper School, which is right here on Adams Road in Birmingham. That's a K to 12. It's actually a small school. They do a great job. It's very incredible. Second up, we've got Country Day, which is, again, it's a K to 12. If you go there and you're going there for high school, it is required that you play 2 sports. I want to make sure that I note that just so that people are not surprised. And then third, last but not least, you've got Cranbrook. So Cranbrook is attended by students from over 26 countries, literally 26 countries. People will send their kids to Cranbrook to go to school in Michigan because it is that highly rated and that highly regarded on a national scale. So something that's always worth thinking about when you're moving somewhere is where you're gonna shop. So there is the downtown area with over 180 shops and stores and restaurants. Almost all of them are small, locally owned, and they love the local community and they really take part in it, which I love. And in downtown Berkley, you're also gonna find dentists and pediatricians and restaurants. And outside of downtown, but on Woodward, you'll find the Art of Dermatology, which is my dermatologist. It's where I go and scope out these 5-star reviews. I think they do an excellent job. Typically speaking, I'm in the front door and then back out after the appointment in about 11 minutes. These guys do not keep you in the waiting room for an hour or an hour and a half like a lot of doctors do. I love these guys. So living in Berkley with the downtown and the 180 shops and restaurants and amenities definitely has its advantages, but you're still gonna have to drive outside of Berkley for some of the day-to-day needs. Target, for example, there's not one located inside the city limits, but there's one very, very close, which is located on Coolidge over here. There's a Costco over here. There's a Sam's Club over here, which is kind of far away. But there's also Somerset Mall, which is located in Troy. It's a short 10-minute drive from the border of Berkley to Somerset Mall, but it is still a drive as there's no actual mall inside of Berkley. So this is Berkley in a nutshell. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about Berkley. Is this a place you would consider moving? Is this a place that you've lived in before? What is your favorite thing about Berkley, or what's one thing you think that Berkley could improve upon? My name is Mike Perna, local real estate agent. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video.